Broadcasting live from a shack on a hill in the Mossy Creek bottoms of Cane Creek, Arkansas. This is Lighting the Void live Wednesday, Hump Day, December the 18th, 2024. As we step into the void, yeah, we're still talking about the out-of-body experience. So what? Scott Rogo's the guy that we're reading, that we're talking about, and all of his wonderful information. It is quite wonderful, actually. All that talking about knocking in my sleep, I couldn't sleep last night. Because of it, I couldn't wink. I kept waking up thinking it was going to happen again. I don't know why this is flat. I got to fix all this stuff, all right? Delina with the 25. Thanks a lot. Appreciate that. Thanks for the super chat. Also, thanks from Domek for the 50 donating to the Fringe. Appreciate you, brother. You guys got to start picking some of this music as your official walk down music. You know how I think everybody in life should have like a walk down track. You know, for instance, I don't know if you ever watch wrestling, WWE. Or it's WWE, but it used to be WWF. And when I was a kid, I'd watch the wrestlers walk down to the ring, and they had their walk down tracks, you know. So if you can't imagine yourself having a walk down track, like as soon as you walk in the door, a song starts playing, you got to question how much you actually love yourself. Everybody should have a walk down track, right? So think about that. Tell me what it is. I'll start playing it on the radio program. Right. So no knocks last night, and a thunderstorm woke me up in the morning, and I thought maybe I'll get the knocks again. So I tried to get out of body. Didn't happen. Although some weird stuff did happen that was quite personal. Domek says, okay, I got this. He'll be the first one to send me a walk down track. Right. Well, I had some realizations today. One, that I'm a lucky charm. I just am. For some people, I'm quite a lucky charm. I had 4 or 5 more voicemails I had to go through today on the station. And for 3 people, just because they came to the show, some good things happened to them. And they say it was because they were, I'm just saying, that's what they're saying. All right, I'll play you the voicemails if you want to hear it. And then I had another person talk about something that having to do with crystal or something. I don't know. I'm glad that good things are happening for you. And if you need some luck, just let me know. I'll send some luck your way. I have a magic lucky crystal ball here that I'll rub for you. Or we can do like a tarot reading or whatever. So we're going to get into some more methods to project your consciousness out of body. You know, yesterday we were talking about visualization, right? We can jump right into the magical side of this if you want to. But let's see. You remember, what were we talking about yesterday? We were talking about how they used mirror techniques. Okay. That's what we were talking about. So most of the occult teachings advise the students to develop intense imagery skills before using visualization. That's what I was talking about yesterday. You got to learn to train your magical eye, your third eye, or your magical eye, what I call your third eye, your ability to see and sense a scenario without it actually being there, but you can see it, smell, taste it, feel it, everything above, and be extremely detailed about it, and then hold it, right? Have the ability to hold that vision. So once you build that skill up, then you can begin using visualization for actually leaving the body. Some of the specific exercises include visualizing a room with your eyes closed until every single detail can be recreated in the mind. That sounds monotonous to me, but... Or looking at a picture and then recreating it in the mind over and over until every shade and part of the picture can be mentally experienced. And staring at a three-dimensional object and then mentally walking around it and experience it from various perspectives. I know it sounds crazy, but it's fun. Look, if you get bored, right? I know a lot of people, we get in this thing of like doom scrolling on our phone. I'm guilty of it. I do it all the time. I'm on my phone just flipping through stuff, you know. But if you get bored and you really want to experiment with your consciousness, do this stuff. It's way more interesting than the little spikes of dopamine you're going to get by watching short videos, you know. Let's see. Where was I at? Yeah. Let's jump into the magical side of this, though. Another common technique was to have the student sit in a semi-dark ended room, close your eyes, and imagine him or herself sitting in a distant corner. Another method entailed sitting the student in a chair, eyes closed, and instructing him or her to visualize a duplicate of yourself seated right in front of you. Have you ever done that? You know what I do when I start to do this stuff? I start to feel neurotic, like I'm being too vain. Because what I do is I've done this before. I've actually sat there and, you know, envisioned myself sitting across from me in the room, looking back at me. And what I can't stop thinking is, Jesus, you're good looking. How'd you get like that? How can you be so chubby and still so damn good looking? It doesn't even make sense. And so what happens is I start to lose the visualization because I'm too busy like complimenting myself. You can't, if you're like that, try something else, okay? But anyways, you can sit in a chair, eyes closed, and instruct yourself to visualize a duplicate of yourself seated right in front of you and be as detailed as possible. You have to realize too that when you do this, you may not actually know how you look. How much time, be honest with yourself, how much time do you spend in front of a mirror? See, I know people that, I got dude friends, believe it or not girlfriends, but dude friends that I've seen sit in front of a mirror and look at themselves longer than 3 women combined. They probably know every part of themselves. But that's what I'm saying is that's a question you should ask yourself, because when you do this exercise and you start to visualize yourself, you're not going to know if you're afraid of a mirror, right? So when you do this, you will want to experience yourself moving forward and merging with your double. This is a really trippy thing to do. Just try this stuff, okay? Just once or twice, then let me know how it goes. And another technique was taught to the neophyte in the occult to lie down and visualize him or herself rising into the air until all awareness of their bed was lost. And at this point, the student was instructed to visualize standing at the foot of the bed, watching yourself. Each technique was to be practiced over and over until the student felt as though he or she was actually, that is, physically participating in their visualizations. It gets a bit creepy, you know, because I think about this stuff after all these books that we read on the, what's up, Cosmic, Christy Belly, MJ, Dutchie. I get to Lurkers. I think about this stuff and I think, well, who else is watching me? Sometimes I really believe, like, if you could see what was actually in the astral realm right now, all around you, it would freak you the hell out. You're not alone. That I can assure you. So if you're doing these visualizations, imagining yourself standing at the foot of your bed, watching yourself, then more than likely, there's another, what's up, Brad? There's another being standing there looking at you going, what the hell is he doing? Awfully vain this guy is. More than likely. We all know Crowley. Aleister Crowley, the famous black magician of England, he taught an exercise briefly described. And so he had his students visualize a shut door set with a blank wall, and then a symbol or a glyph that the student had already used as a meditational aid was to be imagined on the door. then he would have the student to visualize the door opening slowly and him or herself moving through it. Him or herself moving through it. Himself. I can't talk today. This exercise was to be practiced over and over until the student actually projected right out of the body. And at least one modern student and scholar of the occult, British author Kenneth Grant, which, by the way, is one of my 5 favorite occultists, Kenneth Grant, believes that he once contacted a whole new level of reality through an out-of-body experience, and that he spontaneously experienced it while practicing this exercise. So try this. Imagine there's a symbol of a door. Or a symbol on a door. I like to use the crescent moon, right? Just like a crescent moon shape. The same that's on the Tatwa card. And just imagine the door opening and you moving through it. And just keep doing this imagery over and over again. If you want, it's even better too if you do some like breathing exercises, really relax yourself, sink into it, and then start to visualize, Now, most occult teachings for inducing an out-of-body experience rely on practicing a transference of consciousness, similar to ones that Green and others like him have more formally codified and stripped of their arcane trappings. But the 19th century occultists were, however, a bit more sophisticated about the out-of-body experience than some groups and teachers who currently advocate these visualization strategies. They believed that these visualization exercises created mock forms of the experience with constant practice would ignite an actual OBE when the student was prepared for it. In other words, you were told to practice leaving the body with the art of visualization, right, until it actually happened. Now, these repetitions probably helped focus the student's will on the desire to have an out-of-body experience until the suggestion to your subconscious finally took hold. Or they may have been ways of training the mind to overcome its natural resistance towards leaving the body. Because make no mistake about it, there is a natural resistance for you to leave the body. There's it just doesn't want you to do it. We can get into that later, but a lot of these procedures might sound absurd, but no one ever claimed that astral projection was necessarily difficult either. The basic idea behind these techniques seems to be that by practicing the experience of leaving the body, it will eventually happen. And another way of looking at the issue is that you're training yourself to make a perceptual jump from one point of observation to another. Dr. Susan Blackmore makes an analogy between the out-of-body experience and the type of perceptual jump that occurs when you stare at the Necker cube, which is, what a Necker cube is. You can see all sides of the cube. I used to doodle them in school all the time, right? I would draw a square, and then in the middle of that one, I would draw another square and then connect the lines. And now, I could see the front of the cube, the back of the cube. Anyways, it's a paradoxical shape that seems suddenly to shift its structure if you stare at it long enough, right? But it'll seem to change as you stare at it, basically. So you can sometimes even induce the perceptual jump merely by blinking your eyes. And some parapsychologists believe that the out-of-body experience, get this, they believe, in fact, is a quirk of perception analogous to this phenomenon. I don't know how they're coming up with that, but okay. You guys know what a Necker cube is? You know what I'm talking about? I could try to draw one on here. I could doodle one, maybe. I don't know. But when you were in school, I'm going to draw. This is going to look really bad. But when you were in school, or when I was in school, I would draw these all the time because I had ADD. And so you just draw a square inside of another square. This is really kind of difficult to do with the mouse, actually. Hold on. This is not going to look good. Oh, y'all can't see it because I haven't transferred the scene. So you just draw these two squares like this and then connect the lines, right? So hold on, I got to do it over here. Connect one line then connect another one, and another one. Blah, blah, blah. Right? You got it? So you connect these. And then sometimes what I would do is I would just draw these at school, and I would shade one box. Or you could just stare at it and blink your eyes, right? And the front would jump out, then the back would turn to the front, and so on, and it would just keep moving if you stare at it long enough. Oh, that's the front. No, that's the back. Well, that's the front. So what they're saying is, in this theory, is that when you have an out-of-body experience, you're kind of doing the same thing. You can sometimes even induce this jump merely by blinking your eyes. And I don't know what to even think about people that call themselves parapsychologists, especially if they think that this is what the OBE experience is. I could be wrong, though. The perceptual jump model is not necessarily purely psychological, however. Such changes in orientation may be a quirk of perception, or they may actually represent the sudden physical dislocation of awareness to a point outside the body. Funny enough, though, the cube is talked about in the occult quite a bit, though, for other reasons than perception, but perception's a part of it, you know. What's going on, Susie? You can't connect to what's going on? Oh, I have no idea what Discord is. I'm a complete Luddite. Having a smartphone, etc., need to be online as no public transport here, and I don't drive. You could do it with you can get on Discord with your computer, but she probably needs a little help, y'all, if you're going to do it with the computer. Discord's fun because we're always there, right? So even when the show's over, there's always people in there chatting. It's kind of like our little hangout area. And nowadays, everybody's got a Discord room, right? So Keith Harry likes to make a challenging little point pertinent to this idea when talking about his out-of-body experiences. He reminds his listeners that there really is no evidence that awareness is in the body in the first place, and that is true. There's really no evidence of that. There's really no evidence that it's contained in the brain. That's also true. Awareness is not physical at all. It's totally non-material. It therefore can't be contained inside or in really anything. So we probably experience it within our heads from habit. Our job is to learn to break this habit. And if we can experience our awareness anywhere. And that is just what another guy that we talked about, Harari, believes. That an out-of-body experience actually entails. So you're simply moving your awareness. Now, this is different than what Muldoon talks about. What he's saying is you're just moving your awareness outside your body. You're realizing that your body is not a container of awareness by any means, which sounds kind of redundant to me because I think that's exactly what it's designed for. I think the universe designed the body to be a container of awareness, but potato, I guess. The visualization exercises discussed here might well be perfect ways to prepare the mind for these jumps in orientation. They may begin to occur gradually as one practices it over a period of time, or perhaps spontaneously as an outgrowth of the training, and such instances of mind travel would probably not entail the release of a soul body, but would manifest as a sudden and instantaneous withdrawal of the consciousness from the body. At least one noted psychic habitually relies... Did someone just call in? No. At least one noted psychic habitually relies on a form of visualization for experiencing an OBE. Ingo Swann. Most of us have heard of Ingo Swann, right? Now, he's a New York artist and psychic whose out-of-body experience talents were tested by the American Society for Psychical Research back in 1971. Janet Mitchell, a research assistant at the ASPR at the time, was in charge of running these tests. The design of the experiment was simple, but it eventually revealed quite a bit about the out-of-body experience. There was a special lab room at the ASPR that was outfitted with a box-like shelf suspended under the ceiling. The shelf was illuminated by a light bulb so that any object placed in it could be seen clearly. As since Swan induces his OBEs from a waking state, he would not have to make elaborate preparations for them. Guys, I'm going to sound really dumb here, but I feel like I thought Ingo Swan was just the remote viewing guy. Like, I didn't know he was doing out-of-body stuff, too. You know. There's a Discord link in the YouTube channel description, probably not in the video description right now, but you should be able to invite anybody from the Discord, though. Hopefully you can. Anyways, he would not have to make elaborate preparations for them. He would merely sit in an easy chair under the shelf while polygraph electrodes were attached to his head. Swan would then liberate a part of his mind, send it up to the ceiling, see what pictures had been placed there, and simultaneously report what he was seeing to his experimenter. To me, that's just remote viewing, to me. But Swan is a gifted artist, so he also usually drew sketches of what he saw. Sometimes these sketches were identical to the target pictures placed on the shelf. What was even more intriguing was that the way Swan saw the targets. His OBE vision seemed to be regulated by certain principles, just as physical sight adheres to the laws of optics. His results certainly did not seem to resemble the fragmented, symbolized, and global type of information one gets through ESP. Ingo Swan's procedure for leaving the body is very simple, probably since it's an inborn gift that he possesses, but he just decides where he wants to send his mind, visualizes the point, and then pushes his mind over to that location. Sometimes he will actually feel his mind traveling during the projection, although he will remain consciously alert. Let's see. Richard Green has collected accounts from his students that also indicate that visualization exercises can successfully catalyze OBEs. Although admitting that some students take longer to develop the ability than others, Green believes that his techniques will work for just about anybody given sufficient time and practice. This is my point, man. Some people think that like remote viewing is what I consider the out-of-body experience. That's not the same thing. Yeah, you are moving your consciousness to view something somewhere else or whatever, but it's not the same as peeling like your etheric body out of your physical body. You know, this is why I agree with Rogo. We need to like really talk about these things better categorically, you know. But the accounts he has collected often read very similar to the accounts of those who have had OBEs spontaneously or through other methods. This is certainly qualitative evidence that his students are undergoing genuine OBEs. For instance, the following description was written by a student trying to transfer his consciousness into a light bulb. Quick question, chat. Quick question. If you could transfer your consciousness into anything, what would it be? What would the first thing you would like to transfer your consciousness into? No dirty stuff either, Pound Town. Like if you were a kid and you said, "Oh, that's neat. I would really like to transfer my consciousness into that." What would it be? Ingo Swan was also part of R&D by the Yahtzees in America. The Yahtzees, huh? All right, so here is one of his students' experiences that tried to transfer their consciousness into a light bulb. At first, this is their quotes here, okay? At first, I had a hard time feeling myself in the position of the light bulb. I would no sooner feel myself there when I would find myself being drawn back into my physical body. It was as if there was a great struggle to keep myself where I wanted to be. For a few moments, in fact, I got the impression that I was bouncing back and forth between my body and the light bulb. Once I got centered into the bulb, I could feel the closeness of the wall, and there was a wall near to the bulb. At first, I also found my mind analyzing and trying to remember the room as I usually knew it to be. What I was trying to do was to utilize my memory of the room. I also noticed that when I tried to analyze, remember, or intellectualize about what something should look like, I would just find myself back in the body. At one point, I tried to see my own physical body from the light bulb. As I looked at it, I noticed that I was looking down at my body, but I couldn't get a perception as to the color of my clothes or the shape of my hair. This is getting weird. In trying to intellectualize or remember, if you will, how these things looked, I found myself immediately back in the body. This sort of thing occurred about 3 or 4 times, and I naturally thought I was simply imagining or visualizing what I was seeing. Suddenly, there came an incident which I found to be of great interest. Below the light bulb were 2 boxes. I did not know what was in them, and from my position as the light bulb, I could look down into them. What I saw was that one box had some sort of cord or wire in it, and the other box had scraps of paper in it. The word seeing to describe the way I saw these things is not the right word. They were images which penetrated into my consciousness. Along with the perceptions came a solid feeling of them being totally and completely right. Now, if you close your eyes and visualize a red triangle, the way it appears in the mind's eye is the way I saw these things. I then returned to my consciousness back to my body and went to look into the boxes. And in one box, there was a wire, which I found out later went to a guitar amp. And in the other, there were pieces of paper. One other thing was that I was the light bulb. I noticed that the position of the boxes in regards to the lamp was not directly over the boxes, but rather to the side of them. So when I got up to check my results, I saw that the bulb was in one direction away from the box rather than directly over them. And I also noticed that when I had looked at the boxes from the bulb's perspective, I had actually been the lamp. For in checking out what I saw through my fusing with the bulb, my going over physically to the bulb and looking from its perspective, I saw exactly the same thing as when I was fused consciously with the light bulb. I don't know, man. What's up, Ava? This is a good place to be. I've never really experimented with remote viewing. Actually, I'm not saying it's not the same or it's no less interesting, but to me, I don't know why they call it like an OBE. It's just remote viewing, but it's pretty fascinating. If you could just, put yourself into the, and here's the other thing too, is I don't think they told that person that there was even boxes underneath the light bulb, right? I don't think they told them that. That's pretty trippy. So for an actual mental traveling, compare the following report to the typical OBE narrative. So that was a mental OBE, according to Rogo. To us, that's remote viewing. So this story goes like this. I projected my consciousness out of my physical body to a friend that I had not spoken to in about 3 weeks. I was familiar with the person's apartment and what it looks like. I could feel myself there almost immediately. I was outside the apartment door at first, and then I tried to walk through the door, but I found that I had a hard time entering and could not pass through it. I turned around so that I would be entering the door backwards. I found that it was very easy then to enter through the door. Yeah, I mean, because of course, your mind, you're going to say, well, if I turn around and walk backwards, I'll go right through the door. The mind is weird, man. Once through the door, I turned around and proceeded to locate my friend. I saw that she was in the kitchen in the rear of the apartment. I saw her drinking coffee and watching television. I also got the impression that she had a typewriter in front of her, and I got the impression that she may have been typing. How did you come up with that? Because she had a typewriter? I then tried to get her to see or feel me. See, I told you, every time someone has like a OBE like this, they want to be seen. It's just a natural thing. You want to be like, hey, I'm here. Hey, it worked. This is real. Look at me. To do this, I tried touching her shoulder, but she did not seem to respond. I stayed at her apartment for a while longer and then finally returned to my physical body. And after I returned, I called her long distance and asked her about the things that I had seen. At the time I traveled to her, she actually had been drinking coffee and watching television. She said the typewriter was not on the table in front of her and that she had not been typing at all. However, she said that at about the time that I had been there, she had been thinking of typing a letter to a friend of hers somewhere in Chicago. What does that mean? So the thought of typing was in her conscious mind. And as to her feeling me, she said that she had received no particular feeling such as a touch, but that at about that time she had suddenly had a flash of me in her mind, and she started thinking about me for a while. What does that imply then? If she went out of body and went to this lady's house, saw her that she was drinking coffee, saw the typewriter in her lap, and then the lady's like, "Well, I wasn't typing at all. I was drinking coffee, but I was thinking about typing." Then wouldn't that mean that we don't actually go? Because I always wondered about this too. Like, wouldn't that mean that we don't actually go to that physical place, that we're just visiting people consciously, so to speak, and maybe our mind creates the scenario? So almost as if we're tapped into that person's mind. I don't know. That's so trippy, though. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. Yeah, that's trippy. Note here how mind traveling or traveling clairvoyance can entail a mixture of apparent genuine observations with what appears to be ESP gathering information. This paradox has led some parapsychologists to argue that the out-of-body experience is merely a subjective, altered state of consciousness during which one can make use of the mind's innate extrasensory powers. It's also possible, however, that the mind may be very open to ESP impressions after becoming independent of the body and its brain. The mind might automatically process these impressions as it is making its observations. Some natural confusion might result. The fact that visualization can help induce a limited form of OBE is also exemplified by a phenomenon called remote viewing, which is a modern-day version of the traveling clairvoyance, so well known during the age of the great mesmerists. Yeah, but this is why it's important that we classify this stuff, man. The reason why is like one person could have a lucid dream, right? So I say, "Hey man, have you ever had an out of body experience?" And you're like, "Yeah, sure." So, but you had a lucid dream, you know. The other person said, "Yeah, I've had an out of body experience." They might have been remote viewing something. Another person had like a genuine, you know, the body vibrated and they peeled themselves out of body, but they didn't really go far. And they're like, "Well, I had an out-of-body experience this way." And then another person says, "Man, I was just like a point of light in the center of a room." So you got 4 or 5 different things. And these are all methods of conscious exploration. But would you call all of these an OBE? Or would you even categorize all of them under out-of-body experience? This is another reason why I don't think people take this subject as seriously as it needs to be, because it's such a convoluted, is convoluted the word, place when you're messing with your consciousness, and they're all different forms of conscious exploration. Yeah, we gotta do this more. So, but back on visualization. So the fact that visualization can help induce a limited form of an out-of-body experience is also exemplified by a phenomenon called remote viewing. Okay. The basic procedures first developed by Ingo Swann as an adjunct to his OBE gifts were later formalized by researchers at the Stanford Research Institute. Now, it's called SRI International in Menlo Park, California. Well, when they realized that this technique could be learned by other psychics and even regular people. Remote viewing has become one of parapsychology's most popular instruments for helping people learn and display ESP, and is also inherently linked to the out-of-body experience. The remote viewing work all began when Ingo Swann, whose powers were being tested at SRI at the time, told two physicists that there he could send his mind anywhere in the world. All he needed was a set of latitude and longitude lines, and that he could project there, see what the terrain was like, and report back. Russell Targ and Harold Puthoff were astounded by this claim and decided to test him on the spot. I think I had Russell Targ on the show once. No, I think I had both Russell Targ and the guy that did Third Eye Spies on the show. I know I had the guy that did Third Eye Spies on the show twice, I think. Anyways, they were right in the middle of an ESP test at the time, but Swann was bored and they wanted to humor him. So they called out some coordinates and waited to see what their subject would report. The results of the impromptu experiment were so stunning that Russell Targ and Puthoff began focusing on this curious phenomenon. And over the next several weeks, they challenged Ingo Swann continually with remote viewing tasks. They would merely choose the coordinates, and then Swann would sit back in the easy chair at the testing office, project his mind to that location, and then tell everyone what he saw. Turns out, his accuracy was amazing. Most of us, I'm hoping most of you know this story. If you don't know the story, you need to look it up. Like, go watch Third Eye Spies, go watch every documentary you can, everything that you can about Ingo Swann. Because if that doesn't prove to you that conscious exploration of that kind is real, nothing's going to. And if the government's using anything, they're using this shit. For sure. Now, sometimes there were surprises, though. For one experiment, the physicists gave Ingo Swann coordinates for what they thought would be the middle of Lake Victoria in Africa. Swann sent his mind to the location and described flying over a large body of water and coming to rest on a piece of land nearby. Now, this didn't make sense to Targ and Puthoff, who hurried to recheck their atlas, but they discovered that those specific coordinates pinpointed a peninsula jutting out into the lake. So he was actually more accurate than they were. And then Swann eventually participated in nearly 100 of these remote viewing sessions. He was successful 75 times. He missed on 14 occasions, and 6 others he couldn't be evaluated for some reason. Targ and Puthoff also ran a series of tests in which one of them would drive to a randomly chosen site in the San Francisco Bay Area. Swann, who had no idea where the experimenter had driven, was asked to project himself to the experimenter and report what he saw. So now he's not just given a location. Ingo is saying, they're asking him, project your consciousness to wherever I am and then tell me what you see. So now they're basically asking him to tap into the collective, find them, and then see through their eyes. Some crazy shit, man. His descriptions were often correct and detailed. He could describe where the experimenter was, the terrain, nearby buildings, and even the landscape. The procedure Swann uses for his remote viewing is a form of OBE travel, although he often seems, I guess he doesn't like to admit that that's what it is. But because I don't think that's the same thing. I don't blame him. I really don't blame him. Anyways, Rogo says, I was able to interview Swann when he visited Los Angeles in 1976 as a part of a promotional tour for a book that he wrote. And I was curious to know whether Swann, what he really felt that he was, did he feel that he was leaving the body during his remote viewing trials or merely just using ESP to gain visual impressions about the distant areas? What Ingo Swann said was this, quote, remote viewing is not much different from daydreaming, he explained. At the time, you're supposed to contact the outbound experimenter. You just agree with yourself that you're going to do it. You sort of think about him and you'll start to get a flood of images starting to come in. Well, how come that crap don't work for me, Ingo? I mean, maybe I just haven't had a willing participant to experiment with this stuff with, but I've had synchronistic experiences with people, but they were usually because we were intimately connected. But it's never been like just a buddy or somebody I was talking to for some reason. See, I know that other people, I've got friends that do experiments with remote viewing, and they've been doing it for a while. But to say that I don't even think they're getting close to hitting 75% accuracy. So the thing is I'm sure Ingo Swann is right about like that we can all do it, but I don't think he really knew, because it came so easy to him, like how to teach it really to do, like it was something that was just coming easy to him. But according to Rogo, though, like this didn't strike him as true mind traveling. And he talked to Ingo Swann about this, who then admitted that different subjects may use different strategies for accomplishing remote viewing, including actual mind projection. Some people, Ingo Swann said, alluding to himself, often report a sense of moving to that place. They report going over streams of water or desert. They get to the places and often comment on things they would comment on when getting off an airplane, the humidity, the wind or the cold, and so on. And Swann sometimes experiences just this type of traveling during his own remote viewing attempts. The psychic ended the discussion by admitting that remote viewing could be done either way, from within the body or from without. Damn. Now, Ingo Swann should know, since he has helped other psychics develop remote viewing skills. The most successful was the late Pat Price, an ex-Burbank, California police official who was tested at SRI on several occasions. Russell Targ and Puthoff instituted a formalized experimental plan during their work with this rather unlikely psychic superstar. They first selected a pool of geographical locations in and about the Bay Area. One experimenter would secretly drive to a randomly selected site and remain there for several minutes, while the other experimenter remained at SRI with Price. After the outbound experimenter had arrived at the designated location, the other researcher would ask Price to make psychic contact, mentally visit his location, and just report what he saw. Price would use a procedure similar to Swann's to accomplish the task. He would sit back, relax. There's that word again, relax, right? It's important. He would sit back, relax, free his mind, and then give himself the suggestion to go to the outbound experimenter and see where he was. And sometimes he would also sketch what his mind saw. About 6 sessions constituted a formal series. Their transcripts were typed from Price's reports and given in random order to an outside judge. The judge then visited the various locations. This is smart, too. Thanks, Ari, for the $4.99, brother. Appreciate you. This is smart because you want to double verify it, because there could just be like someone else going, oh, yeah, it works. So if you got another person going and checking it, it verifies it even more. So the judge then visited the various locations and tried to guess which transcript was meant for which location. The results were phenomenal. Not only could Price describe the target areas in detail, he could even name the building or site where the outbound experimenter was situated. The judge usually had no trouble making the matchups. The next steps in the SRI remote viewing work came when other people were tested with the same procedure, including various staff members and even 1 or 2 resident skeptics. The researchers were surprised to find that remote viewing capabilities appear to be quite common in everybody. Many people who did not ordinarily consider themselves psychic were very successful when they put their minds to it. So they just had to have a little bit of will to do it. That's all. The remote viewing procedure has now also been replicated by other researchers at Mundelein College in Chicago, or Mundelein, however you want to say that, at the Institute for Parapsychology in Durham, at the Lawrence Berkeley Laboratories in Northern California, and at other prestigious laboratories. It's one of the most popular testing procedures in use today. Although remote viewing does not necessarily entail an out-of-body experience, it does teach people this one thing: to visualize. In fact, remote viewing may be considered a visualization technique useful for inducing OBEs. And many remote viewers eventually begin traveling to the target areas as if they were learning to leave the body through the art of the visualization process. Russell Targ and Puthoff have even gathered some tentative data to support the view that some remote viewing entails a mind-body separation. Some of their best subjects have been able to fly over to the target areas and report buildings and aspects of the terrain not visible to the outbound experimenters because they're flying over the top, right? So the SRI team eventually hopes to document the mind separation component of the remote viewing experience by setting up delicate oscillators and other equipment at the target sites, which I think they did later on. And they plan to see if a mind viewing the location can influence the equipment's readings and functions. And this would indicate that the subject's mind may be actually present, actually there, instead of just viewing it from a distance somewhere in some respect. But most parapsychologists see remote viewing as an end in itself, a rather simple procedure for testing people's ESP that often seems to work somewhat reliably. Few appreciate the fact that remote viewing may be the first step to developing out-of-body skills and may be as valid a training procedure as the exercises listed before. Merely visualizing a distant location could be the first step in experiencing mind travel. If you wish to learn remote viewing yourself, it's easy enough to do. Just go slow at first. And I mean, we all surely all of us have tried to induce OBEs, remote viewing before. I've tried it a few times. Anyways, we have to do the commercial thing. But listen, the break here, you keep getting more support. We'll cut out these damn commercials. Can't cut out the radio, though. I like the music too much. Here's the thing, though. I think next we're going to get into the part where he talks about doing it through dreams. But if you can practice visualization, like training your mind's eye first, just practice visualization. If you get bored, because this is why a lot of people don't keep going down this road, or they give up on trying to have an OBE. It's not because they can't do it. It's probably that they're not that interested too, or they're getting bored. If you get bored just training your mind to visualize things, hell, try remote viewing. Find a way to test it with your friends or something. It can't be that damn boring. Maybe we'll do that. Make some plans for the new year, some remote viewing experiments for 2025 or something, huh? All right. 3 minutes, 4 minutes, tops. I'm Joe Roop. This is Lighting the Void live. Lighting the Void live. It's December 18th, 2024. Depending where you are, it could be the 19th. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Just text me, don't call.
This This is No Way Jose, a Northern California Piscean stuck in the Arizona desert. I'm a void walker, and I got the shoes to prove it. So what do I do when my soul yearns to delve deep into the realm of the unknown? I aim my satellite straight into the night sky and catch a smooth ride on the KTLK-DB radio waves. I tune into Lighting the Void with Joe Root on the Fringe FM.
Joe, Lighting the Void is the best show on the planet. This is Barney, your friend from Facebook. Thank you and all the crew for all you do. Namaste, my friend.
This is Macon from the foothills of North Carolina, and I am a void walker.
G'day, void walkers. This is Lily from down under Australia. The world may be small, the enigma is greater. So let your curiosity take you for a journey with Joe Root.
Hey, this is V, coming in from Central Maryland, and I am a void walker.
This is Kevin Doherty, a beginner void walker. I'm from Vancouver, BC. I know a little about a lot, and as Leonard Skinner said, I'll guess the rest. I learned a lot from Mr. Root in the show, and heard it from the beginning. I knew right then he was going to be a new art pal. Thanks for all your shows, and keep it up.
Hey, this is Derek from Mass, aka the Night Stalker, and I'm a void walker.
This is Mark from Chicago, and I walk the void to ascertain what is consciousness.
My name is Jared Johnson, and I'm from Humboldt County, California. I do not know all the answers to the questions about reality. I do not claim to know the ultimate truth about life. I seek that which has been made hidden as a part of a family of explorers of consciousness. I'm a void walker. Thanks, Joe Root.
From the afterlife and into your life, this is Art Bell, and you are listening to Joe Roop and Lighting the Void, here on the Fringe FM.
Have you ever wondered, what do the stars say for me? Or, will the next month or the next year be more favorable? How about, are our two signs compatible? Each month, at the new moon, you can ask these questions live with me, your astrologer psychic, Mary DeCina, along with host of Lighting the Void, Joe Root. Join us at the new moon for Cosmic Conditions. We look forward to working with your energy.
Every new moon at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on Fringe FM.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Do you want to know the truth? Are UFOs real? Are aliens visiting Earth? Are governments around the world hiding the biggest secret in history? We're UFO Seekers, official partner of the Fringe FM, and we're on a hunt for the truth. Join us as we investigate locations like Area 51 by subscribing on YouTube at youtube.com/UFO Seekers.
Broadcasting from Forest Tower Studios, all the way from the Deep South. Now, here is your host, Joe Root.
I wouldn't make it a habit calling me that.
Welcome back to Lighting the Void. We're live on YouTube. Eventually we'll start streaming this to, I'm thinking Rumble. Starting to get too many of those damn rules and stuff too, so from YouTube. We'll broadcast on YouTube as long as they let us, but All right, so we're going to get into projection through dream control. It's one of my favorite subjects, too, because I love dreams. Probably one of the reasons why I quit smoking weed. Because it actually was one of the, other than, anxiety, it was one of the reasons why I quit, because people said, yeah, man, you can't dream if you're high all the time. And I was really starting to notice that, hey, man, I wasn't dreaming. That's not fun. I like lucid dreaming. I like trying to get control of them. So, but the ability to project out of the body from your dreams is another fascinating subject we talk quite a bit about on the show. And a special old age relationship exists between sleep and the out-of-body experience. Many primitive cultures believe that the soul wanders away from the body during sleep, and for this reason, a sleeper is never moved from where he or she is located. There may be more facts than fable to this myth, since most people have their first spontaneous OBEs while either falling asleep or rising or emerging from sleep. Many talented astral projectors, from Hugh Calloway to Sylvan Muldoon to Keith Harary, experienced nocturnal separations before learning voluntary control over them. Many techniques for inducing the OBE, such as those outlined by Robert Monroe, teach the student to bring him or herself to the point of sleep. So therefore, it makes considerable sense that the out-of-body experience might be most easily induced from this state of unconsciousness. But how do we do it? Well, how can the unconscious sleeper do anything to voluntarily leave the body? And the answer comes through dream control. Few people realize that dreams can be controlled very easily. You have probably noted that your dreams are often influenced by what you do during the day, the people you meet, your interactions with them, and how you feel about your friends and relatives. Our relationship with people meaningful in our lives often dictate on a symbolic level what we dream each night. Yet, it's just as possible to control the content of your dreams through autosuggestion. If you go to sleep deliberately concentrating on a certain purpose or even a person and theme, you will find in time that the unconscious mind will respond to those suggestions. The ultimate form of dream control is producing lucid dreams, in which you realize that you're dreaming but do not subsequently wake up. I always try to kill myself once I realize I'm dreaming. Do you ever do that? I do that all the time. Like if for some reason, that was the first thing I tried to do. I would be like, I'm going to just kill myself and wake up, because that's the only way I'm going to get out of this damn dream. Then I started realizing, why do I got to leave, What book is this? Leaving the Body, A Practical Guide to Astral Projection by D. Scott Rogo. So, many people have this experience once or twice in their lives. The most common form of lucidity occurs during a nightmare, when the dreamer realizes the experience is unreal and orders himself or herself to awaken. I don't know about that. I haven't had a nightmare in a long damn time, honestly. But I do have dreams, like a frequent dream that I have that is so real is like your teeth. The dream that your teeth are falling out of your head. You ever get that one? Or like one tooth comes loose and then another. And that feels so freaking real to me. It's almost like a nightmare. I think I've also had another dream that my leg was messed up, but the teeth one I've never woke up from that thinking, oh man, or in the dream and was like, oh, I'm just dreaming, because it felt so real, I guess. That and my emotions from my teeth breaking in my head, it just seemed so real. I just didn't think it could be a dream, But according to Rogo, the most common form of lucidity occurs during a nightmare, when the dreamer realizes the experience is unreal and then you order yourself to wake up. More proficient lucid dreamers are able to remain asleep after making this identification and can then go on to experiment with their dream environments. They can create all sorts of miracles barred from us in our real day-to-day lives. flying about is a favorite adventure of the lucid dreamer. But the important thing to remember is that while some people are natural lucid dreamers, the ability can be developed and nurtured with practice. People who become aware that they are dreaming have rather remarkable control over themselves. The conscious and unconscious minds literally seem to merge. A curious finding along these lines has been made by Keith Hearn of Hull University in England, who has discovered that lucid dreams can be artificially induced in laboratory volunteers. Special clips attached to the dreamer's nose are electrically charged when the subject has entered rapid eye movement, or the REM state, which denotes dreaming. Pulses sent through the clip alert the sleeper, who will wake up to the fact that he or she is dreaming. The sleeper can then signal back to the experimenter through a prearranged eye movement pattern that he or she is aware of the state. Isn't that trippy? Teeth dreams. Joe, I haven't had the teeth peeling away since I was a kid. The most real one I ever had was we used to race. Yeah, that was a thing, before the internet came out. There's a place called Jenkins Ferry. It's just a creek we used to swim at, but everybody would go there as a teenagers. When we were in high school, junior high, even after, everybody would go down there and race cars because it was such a long stretch of road. You could see any car coming for miles. So this is where we went and did our quarter-mile races and stuff. But I had 3 dreams that I was in, like, my favorite car, which was like a 69 Chevelle. So I would have a dream that I was in that car driving down the road and I wouldn't hit anything, but I would lean out, and the wind that was blowing like in my face felt like the wind blowing in my face when you lean your head out of a car. And I would smile into the mirror and my teeth would they would be broken. And it's weird because I'm not dreaming I'm in a wreck. I'm happy in the dream. I'm driving the car of my dreams. But for some reason, I always thought in that dream, man, I need to look at my teeth, and my teeth would feel broken. And then I would start spitting teeth out of my head. And even having that dream 2, 3, I think 4 times back then, I still never realized I was in a dream because it just felt so real. It's so crazy, man, how like your mind knows how it feels to lose a tooth, so it can recreate it. But here's this experiment. They did it. This is trippy. I wish I could do this with a friend, but so Keith Hearn at Hull University in England discovered that lucid dreams could be artificially induced in laboratory volunteers. So he would attach clips to their noses that were electrically charged. When they would enter REM, which is like rapid eye movement, which denotes that we're dreaming, he would send pulses of electricity to their nose. So while they were in the dream, whatever they were dreaming about, they could feel this electricity, and that would wake them up. Oh, I'm dreaming. And then while they were in the dream, they would move their eyes a certain way, because apparently while you're dreaming, you can move your eyes a certain way and you'll still move your eyes that way in real life. And so now he's talking to them in a sense while they're in their dream, which is pretty trippy. It's like Inception, So pulses sent through the clip alert the sleeper, who will wake up to the fact that he or she is dreaming. Then the sleeper can signal back to the experimenter through a prearranged eye movement pattern that he or she is aware of the state. This research has now given investigators a method of directly interacting with the unconscious. The experimental induction of the lucid dream may well be one of psychology's greatest breakthroughs. That is pretty damn cool, actually. Researchers in the field of creativity hope to train lucid dreamers to create adventures for themselves that can serve as the basis for later plays and stories, while psychotherapists hope that a lucid dreamer can train him or herself to meet a dream helper who will aid the dreamer in understanding the problems in their life and possibly give them solutions to them. Parapsychologists are also keenly aware of the potential benefits that lucid dreaming might offer their own field. Many lucid dreamers report ESP experiences as a part of their dreams, and some pilot work has been carried out to see if the lucid dreaming state of mind may be particularly conducive to ESP. A very special and empirical relationship also exists between lucid dreaming and the OBE state. I've never went from a dream to an OBE, but I have went from an OBE to a dream, to a lucid dream. And your famous speaker, Joe, what? Oh, no famous speaker. So one time I had an OBE. Now this is trippy. I did the OBE stuff that I normally do. And I was on the couch at the time, which was my place to have an OBE. I peeled myself out of body, stood up, looked at my body, moved around the house, but I wasn't like, I think I was a little bit more tired than usual this time. So this time, instead of just going back to my body and like moving around or doing whatever I usually do when I had an out of body experience, I could visually see something coming into the right side of my view. And I thought, what the hell is that? It was like even today, I can't explain what it visually looked like, but it was almost like I was in between dimensions. It's really weird, but it was blurry. And it started to feel like I got to give way to this thing. And then I realized, oh crap, I'm slipping into sleep. And I tried to fight it. And the more I tried to fight it, naturally, the more I fell asleep. So I went from an OBE state, out of body, looking at my body, into a dream. And once I was in the dream, I was already lucid because I never lost consciousness while I was doing the OBE techniques. So I've just never went from a lucid dream back to an OBE, which a lot of people say they can do. Now, there's a good reason to believe that the unconscious factors play an important role in the ability to leave the body. Perhaps learning conscious control of one's unconscious mental processes is a critical factor in the ability to produce OBEs at will. This theory is supported by the fact that people who try to induce lucid dreaming sometimes also produce OBEs quite accidentally. As mentioned earlier, Sylvan Muldoon, Hugh Calloway, and many others claimed that at least some of their OBEs were induced through the manipulation of lucid dreaming. The basic skill was to achieve a lucid or pre-programmed dream, direct themselves to leave the body, and then awake outside of it. Such a practice led Calloway to realize that the lucid dream could be used as a road to purely volitional control of the OBE. Lucid dreaming and the OBE represent forms of mental life divorced from the body. Now, although some lucid dreams may actually be disguised as OBEs, these two phenomena seem to be discrete mental experiences. The lucid dreamer is quite aware that he or she is dreaming and that the experience is imaginary. His or her awareness is dreamlike, sometimes fantastic. The astral projector mentally functions in a more concrete environment and is usually aware that he or she is definitely not dreaming. So it would be naive to claim that OBEs induced through lucid dreaming are merely dreams themselves. The best way to view the lucid dream, then, is as a stepping stone to the out-of-body experience and not merely as a parallel phenomenon existing side by side to it. So as one attempts to control the unconscious mind during sleep and quasi-sleep, that is, the hypnagogic state, lucid dreaming might be the first manifestations of this control. OBEs may follow naturally. Learning to induce lucid dreams may well represent a very practical way of igniting spontaneous OBEs, from which more formal and directional control may be established. The ability to lucid dream is not a mystical gift or a strange phenomenon. It is strange, but not paranormal. And since it is a potential that is open to all of us, it represents a perfect means of approaching the OBE. Have any of you guys had an OBE from the lucid state? Chat. Y'all are talking about astral guards. Let's see. Weed does interfere with dreaming. What book is this? Look at your hands when you wake. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I would still be clutching. Yeah, the teeth dream, right? I would still be clutching those teeth in my hand when I woke up. Yeah. That's usually what I would do too, is like spit them out in my hand and look at my teeth and be like, what the hell? I always thought, Susie says, I always thought all dreams are lucid. Maybe not when we are kids. Well, maybe all of your dreams are lucid. That's a possibility. Like every time you dream, if you're aware that you're dreaming, that's all lucidity is being aware of your state of awareness, so to speak. Like, so if every time you dream, which is really cool, by the way, you know you're dreaming, then you're lucid all the time. Let's see. Yes, so conscious out-of-body experiences versus waking into lucid is different. Believe it or not, I've never even got a DWI. Yes, lucid state, OBE. You have, Christy? Man, you should call in and talk about it, because I haven't. Like, I can go from, just laying there relaxing to an out-of-body experience. I can go from a out-of-body experience and slip into a lucid dream. I guess it's because I've never tried. I have too much fun in the lucid dreams to try to go to the out-of-body state. Maybe I should just try it more, All right. Well, if you got any insight into this subject matter, you can call in at 501-777-5631. Remember, keep that phone on your speed dial. Keep that number on your speed dial so you can call in. So before learning to induce lucid dreaming, you must learn to observe and control your dreams in general. The key is autosuggestion coupled with a systematic observation method. An excellent discussion on dream control comes from Patrick Garfield, who's a San Francisco psychologist who is herself, I said Patrick, her name's Patricia. I got gender confused when I read the name. Who is herself a lucid dreamer in her book Creative Dreaming, which may be consulted for more elaborate discussion and suggestions. Here we are concerned just with the basics. So after studying several systems of dream control and use taught in various independent cultures, Dr. Garfield suggests certain steps for learning formal dream control. Begin by reevaluating your attitude toward your dreams. Reevaluating your attitude toward your dreams. What's wrong with my attitude towards my dreams? You must convince yourself either through self-observation or academic study that your dreams are important and meaningful to you and that you can learn from them. If you recall a dream upon waking, do not ignore it. Try to analyze it and see what messages it holds for you. And once you have realized the importance of your dreams, you can begin to experiment with influencing them. If you respect your dreams, they will respond. The basic technique is to give yourself suggestions before you go to sleep that you will subsequently dream about a certain person and or subject. If you practice regularly, you will note your suggestions being incorporated into your reveries. Garfield specifically suggests that you may wish to put your dream intention into a phrase. Relax, repeat it, and visualize its fulfillment. A phrase such as, tonight, I will dream about my friend so-and-so will suffice. And when you get into bed, in other words, don't just drift off to sleep. Prepare yourself for your dreams. Man, I think, look, maybe I got some kind of weird hang up here, but I think it's really creepy to dream about someone without telling them. Don't think about dreaming about me without telling me, because that's just weird. I don't know why. It's your dream, it's your business. But to me, it's like, it's weird. I have some weird hang up about it. Just as I have a weird hang up about people astral traveling to you without permission, so to speak. And yes, I know how to protect myself and all that stuff, because that's usually well, don't you know how to protect yourself? Yeah, but just because you can build a wall up around you doesn't mean that people aren't going to think about you you know, or try to astral travel towards you and sit outside the wall and look at you. It's just weird to me. Not that I wouldn't enjoy doing it. Like if we all decided, you know, Jay says, I've been trying to get into your dreams all week. It ain't working, brother. Like, to me, though, I want to do this with a group of people, but I want to know who's involved, even if it's lucid dreaming. Because, man, I've studied so much Carl Jung and studied this stuff so much that I know that there's a collective conscious, right? There's a realm where we're all connected. And I think, like, if you think about, even if you just think about somebody enough, there's a part of your consciousness that's connecting to that person, you know? So the next phase would be, well, I want to dream about that person. Well, they want to have a lucid dream about that person. You know, I dated a girl one time that told me that she had a dream about me doing things that I would have definitely needed permission. You know, like you can't just do those kinds of things without saying something. It's her dream, right? But then one day she was like, well, I dreamed that I was in your yard and you were trying to show me something and do all this stuff. And then I was like, I never had that dream. Not that I could remember. But here's the thing. At the time, before I even started talking to this person, a lot of weird things, I would even say paranormal things, okay, were happening in my life. You can ask my buddy Jeff. Weird stuff. Like I'll have to get him on the show so he could talk about it too, man. Like, so I paint homes. Like, I have a painting business I do on the side. I grew up painting my whole life. Now, I'm a nocturnal dude. So when everybody works from like 7 to 3, I'll work from like noon to 8, sometimes even later into the night, as long as I have permission. I seem to get more work done at night for some reason. And just before I had this I had 2 karmic connections. You know what those are, right? When you step into a connection that there's karma involved that you and this other person need to work out. And it's usually toxic as all hell. But as long as you learn what the lesson is and move through it and don't do it again, you should be fine. But anyways, before these 2 connections happened, both of them, the first one claimed they had all kinds of dreams I can't even talk about. And a week before they were saying this stuff to me, I had drawers that were being pulled out in the house. Now, my buddy can verify this, right? Like, I don't, I'm a massive skeptic when it comes to lots of different paranormal activity. But I was painting his house with Jeff. He used to do the news on the show. And nothing was going on at that house until I got there. And then when I got there, there were drawers that were, at first it looked like they were falling out of the kitchen cabinets. But the second or third time that it happened, it wasn't falling out. It's something one time you could literally see it looked like someone grabbed one and pulled it out. And the day after that, this person was like, hey, I was dreaming about you. I never met this person before. They just hit me up on Discord a long time ago. Like, you what? You were dreaming about me. What was the dream about? And they started telling me all this. This was dark stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's weird because I don't know you. And to them, like, they thought there was some kind of, what do you call it? Some kind of spiritual connection or whatever, some kind of meaningful thing, which in a karmic way, yeah, there is, but you can work out your karma with anybody. It doesn't have to be a specific person, right? In fact, you learn later that none of this shit works through specific people. It's just happens to be that person at the time that you're working this karma out. But anyways, it got weirder after that. I don't even know if I want to tell the story, but when you guys laugh at me when I talk about, please don't try to do any of this stuff without talking to me, or don't do this to your friends or family or whatever without speaking to them. You know, don't try to astral project to them or dream about them or sit there and obsessively think about somebody, even that, without, it may seem weird to you, but talk to them. It's okay to call somebody. I'm just saying, it's okay to call somebody and say, look, I can't stop thinking about you for some reason. I'm not saying it's healthy, but if you have some weird dreams, any weird stuff happen, please let me know. Right? I even ask that person, is it okay if I astral project to you? If you ask a layman, like someone in your family, they're going to think you're crazy anyways. They'll be like, I guess so. That's weird, but if you want to, go ahead. There's something about when someone, it's like the whole vampire story thing, right? If someone says it's okay, there's a spiritual thing that happens there that I think that gets worked out in a more healthy way. I know I sound crazy right now. I know I do. But like, versus sitting obsessing and thinking about a person and then laying down in your bed and going, I'm going to dream about this person. I'm going to astral travel to this person. You remember when we read Muldoon, he was trying to date this girl and then even showed up at her house, freaked her out and her 11-year-old sister. I think it does something to the psyche is what I'm saying. Right? Like, I don't believe in psychic attack per se the way a lot of people believe in it. Like, most of the time, if bad things are happening to you, this is a whole other subject, but you're allowing it. You're doing it to yourself in a lot of ways, and you're letting these people take part in that self-attack, so to speak. But that's not my point. My point is that the collective unconscious is so real that when you go to do these things, regardless of every single one of these damn books seems to promote this idea that, oh, just think about this person and go to them, or like it's nothing. I don't think it's nothing because I know this is real. I don't look at it as, and you may have good intentions. They may be, you know, like harmless, or like Christy's saying, for fun. Sure. It'd be a hell of a lot more fun if you told me about it first. Because if something weird happens, or if you create some kind of karmic connection that I didn't ask for, or if something weird happens to you, I guess I might be projecting onto you guys, man, because I've had so many crazy experiences with this, man. I don't mean to project onto you guys. All I'm saying is, I guess is what I'm saying as a friend, is do whatever you want to do, but realize that this place is real. It's not like it's not like you're going to an arcade. Okay. Oh my God, I'll be sleeping with one eye open tonight. Well, Susie, like, I'm not trying to scare you. Most of us aren't that important where other people are going to be thinking about us like that anyways, right? You, me, and most of us will go to bed tonight and no one's going to think about us. Not to try to depress you or anything, but that's the facts, right? But somebody might, you know, so. Hey, I do want to tell you guys a story, but I've already told it. But these stories are so important. I can't tell you that one story, Sir Wolf. Maybe in a DM, but I want to respect the other person too. I'm just saying, be careful of this shit, you know. So when you say a phrase such as tonight, I'll dream about my friend so-and-so, just text them. Just do me a favor, text them and say, hey, I'm going to try to dream about you. Is that cool? Just do that. It'll make things more karmically sound, you know. When you get into bed, in other words, don't just drift off to sleep. Prepare yourself for those dreams, according to Rogo. By using this psychological exercise, you'll also find that your dream recall improves. This will occur more and more frequently as you begin gaining some control of your dream content. It will also help if you write down your dreams in the morning. And we all know that, though. The best way is to lie still when you wake. Just rest there and don't move, don't jump up. Don't run to your phone or immediately pick up your phone. Just as soon as you wake up, just lay there for a second. Relax. Try to remember what you've been dreaming about. If you can't remember, change position. For some reason, this occasionally ignites the dream recall, like even if you just roll over. Then as soon as the dream comes to mind, start writing it down or recite it into a tape recorder. That's what I do. I talk into my recorder. This way you'll have a record of your dreams and you'll be able to see how you can your control of them is advancing. You might find that the dream memories will start coming back spontaneously during the day, usually sparked by something you see or hear that is similar to what you dreamed the night before. Once you have achieved some level of dream control, you can proceed to induce lucid dreams. And there are many ways this can be done. The simplest is through one or another form of self-suggestion. So be advised, however, that lucid dreams are most prone to occur in the morning hours after you've had a good night's sleep. So your best bet is to practice after you initially awake, but plan to go back to sleep for a little bit. This also helps for OBEs too. Now, this phenomenon may be the outcome of the normal psychology of sleep. And since most people do not begin their night's first dream period until 70 to 90 minutes after dozing off, we usually wake up from REM or rapid eye movement state. So returning to sleep may put you right back into one, which is okay. But your suggestion to lucid dream at this critical time may be more easily acted on than during initial sleep. So we can get into some inductions of lucid dreams if you want. Yeah, Delina's, it's disregarding boundaries. It's like a, it's like a psychic boundary, so to speak. I don't even know if I want to call it that, because I don't want people to focus on psychic attacks and so much and then get all weird about it, because, but just know that like you are connected to everybody on some level. The Rose Cross ritual, you think it would create a barrier? Dude, let me tell you something. That is the best ritual. People say, oh, protect yourself. You could do sage, all this stuff, and yeah, you're going to get some. It depends on your belief and the backstory and ancestral stuff. But the Rose Cross ritual, not only does it protect you, dude, you'll flat disappear. People will not be able to find you in the astral realm, even if you're standing right in front of them. And even in the real world, this is why I got so wigged out one time from that person I was talking about. They had other issues that I don't want to get into that kind of wigged me out, but I did the Rose Cross ritual like 3 nights in a row. And the reason why I stopped doing that is because it worked so good. It worked so good that I was experiencing the after effects of that ritual in real life. People would literally ignore me here, which I did it because I wanted to be ignored, in the astral realm, in the psychic realms, whatever the hell you want to call them. I just wanted to be left alone there so I could be at peace for a little while, right? But that realm directly affects this realm. I couldn't get gas one time. I stood in line at the store and even right in front of this lady once, and she was on the phone. I know she saw me. She consciously saw me, right? But it's like her unconscious didn't register that I was just as important as everybody else, so to speak, All right, that's funny, man. The Rose Cross ritual, you think, it doesn't create a barrier. It does create a barrier, actually, but it puts you into a place where it's like going into the nothing, like the never ending story, the nothing, now you're in the astral, you're in the conscious nothing where no one's going nothing and no one is going to acknowledge you, which might sound cool at first, and it is for the first day because you just want to be left alone. But after you need to get stuff done, it starts to suck. Yeah. Okay, so let's get what's up, Sudi? Let's get into some of these methods. Yeah. So how to induce flying dreams, right? So for some reason, lucid dreamers almost universally experience more flying dreams than the average dreamer. And people who have many lucid dreams often find that they are heralded by flying dreams, or that lucidity can be best achieved during a flying dream. And it may simply be that the gravitation-defying content of such a dream alerts the dreamer to the fact that he or she is dreaming. Therefore, begin by giving yourself the suggestion that you will fly in your dreams. And when you have succeeded, lucid dreams may begin manifesting spontaneously. And I will give you one better than that. Are you ready for this? It is the most ridiculous but effective practice for not just inducing a lucid dream, but also an out-of-body experience. And if you're willing to do this daily for a couple of weeks, you are going to have either one of the best lucid dreams you've ever had or out-of-body experiences you've ever had. Now, I want you, your mind is going to laugh at this, but someone taught this to me too, so I'm not pulling this out of thin air. I actually got it from a book. Once a day, at least once a day, I want you to try to fly. Now, some of you have heard of this before, but some of you haven't. Now, God knows you can't fly. Gravity works in this realm. But try to fly. Like how, right? I know what you're thinking. Like, how the hell am I going to fly? First, if you can't comprehend what I'm saying, go watch that movie, The Boy Who Could Fly. It's an old 80s flick. Great movie if you're a film buff. But every day, literally try to fly. Okay, go outside, look at the sky, and then just try to fly. Don't jump out a window or anything stupid. That's not what I'm talking about. Just try to fly from where you're standing. As ridiculous as that sounds, that method right there gave me one of the best OBE experiences I ever had in my life, ever. Do it for a couple of weeks. And you'll find yourself on day 3 or 4, if you're outside, hopefully nobody sees you. But if you're like me, you don't care if somebody sees you. Who cares? My neighbors saw me doing this. They actually asked me what the hell I was doing, So I went outside and I would try to lift off. And I imagine my neighbor's looking at me, Marty, and he's looking at me and I'm sitting here trying to take off, And a part of my mind for a moment started thinking, you might actually take off and start flying. Your mind will start playing tricks on you. I don't know what that does for the OBE state and why it works so well, but it damn sure works for lucid dreaming, because you'll just unconsciously start trying to fly all the time, even in your dreams, Disengage. No, not the R. Kelly, I believe I can fly thing. Damn it, Sudi. I fly by levitating first in my dreams lately. I used to have to get a running start. Yeah, I never did the running thing. No, I would just open the door. I thought what I was reading was a book called Dream Yoga by Samael Aun-Weor. It was a Gnostic text, and he had different methods in there. And I thought I would just combine them with some of the Monroe material to try to. I like to stack things, to amp things up. And so I'd walk outside, open the door, open the screen door, 3 steps down to the sidewalk, and just stand there and just try to fly. One day it registered to me. I was like, could my neighbor be looking at me? It was like day 3, and I turned and looked, and he's just standing there looking at me like, what the hell are you doing? What's up, Bootsy? Brother from another mother. Good to see you. And I just looked at him. I was like, hey, how you doing? I'll explain later. And I did try to explain to him, and he's just one of these old, conservative guys with a dip in his mouth, just looking at me like, what are you talking about? You're trying to fly to lucid dream. What is that? I'll never forget how embarrassed I felt when he saw me doing that. That works. That's one method. Try it. And then get back to me. Tell me what you thought. Here's one that I don't recommend, but Rogo recommends this, is to induce stress or nightmares. Try to have a nightmare. Almost everyone has had the experience of making him or herself awake from a bad nightmare, even the teeth dream, which I'll try this with the teeth dream, but the psychological defense against too much stress in dreams can be put to genuine advantages here. So suggest to yourself that you'll have a nightmare or an especially stressful adventure in your dreams and see if you can awake from it. Now, give yourself the suggestion that you'll wake up when the dream becomes so stressful that you realize you're dreaming. And after you've accomplished this goal, do not order yourself to wake after you become lucid. Just will your dream environment to change, or tell whoever or whatever is threatening you to go away. Usually they will. Or you could do the Nightmare on Elm Street thing and just turn on it and devour it. Once you realize that, you know, you get that God feeling in the lucid dream, you could just point your finger at something and it will explode. That's real fun too. Instead of just, oh, I know I'm dreaming, go away. That's boring. You know, if something's torturing you and then you take over the dream, punish that sumbitch. Have fun with it. Some cultures even teach children to control their nightmares in this way by reminding themselves that when they go to sleep, that dreams are unreal, and to make friends with their dream enemies by using this very form of confrontation. Well, now I look like a dream asshole, don't I? Because I want to punish the things that are giving me nightmares. Dude, they've been torturing you for God knows how long, you know? It's only fair to give them justice. Recognize, this is a different step, by the way. Recognize incongruities in your dreams. This is probably the most universal method for learning and control of lucid dreaming, but before you go to sleep, give yourself the suggestion that during your dreams, you're going to be able to think analytically and tell yourself to note any incongruities that will alert you to the unreality of what you're experiencing. He's being like, so here's the thing though. Rogo's being a bit vague. This is why it's better to get specific. Okay. Try to fly, do that one, but also use the hand method, you know, try to stretch your fingers out. I've heard people talk about that one. I think Sir Wolf or somebody in the chat was talking about trying to put your hands through walls. Do the stuff during the day. Look in the mirror, check the time on clocks, do all this stuff. But just for me personally, as a favor, try to fly for 2 weeks. You know, most people have their first lucid dreams when, for some inexplicable reason, this moment of insight, occurs spontaneously. For example, one of my own lucid dreams occurred one morning after I'd gotten up, read a little on lucid dreaming, and then dozed off on the couch. I dreamed that I was in a pool hall with a young lady. We left the building, and as I turned around, the girl disappeared in a flash. Now, this puzzled me, so I went back into the pool hall, only to find that it had been completely redecorated. And for this incongruity, I realized that I was dreaming, and I didn't wake, but I gave myself the suggestion to remain asleep so that I could experiment with my dream environment. I had the time of my life flying about and deliberately trying to achieve an expanded state of consciousness. Finally, I ordered myself to awaken. To catch some of these incongruities, repeated self-suggestion is the best way to proceed, although it may take considerable time and practice. This stuff is really fun, actually. You know, Abby says that to flip a light switch. Yeah, she's really good at coaching people to lucid dream, right? Yeah, Abby does say to flip a light switch. Yeah, Bootsy, this is Sudi. Sudi, this is Bootsy. You guys should get along real well. Yeah. I remember this one time I had a lucid dream that just came up as like an awareness, right? But it was the first time that I ever took control of a dream and had a lot of fun with it. And when he was talking about the pool hall, it kind of reminded me of this incident, right? So there was this girl back in high school that everybody was after, everybody. And I figured that since everybody was after her, I would just ignore her. Like, why her name was Alicia. And if anybody's listening to the show from my high school, you know exactly who I'm talking about, right? So her name was Alicia. And I thought, well, since everybody's after her, I'll just ignore her. The stupid games you play as a kid. Now that kind of worked as, she started finding reasons to chat me up. But this was after, I'd gotten in shape and done all this other stuff. So I was a bit more confident than I usually was. So she started chatting me up. Well, then one of my best friends, right, from growing up, who I thought would never, I went and bragged to him about this. And instead of going, oh, good job, buddy, you know what he did? He stepped in and blocked me. And he was younger than me. Because I told him about this thing. Hey, this girl's so hot that all these dudes hit on her all the time. They say the same stupid shit to her all the time. And just any dude that is nervous and vulnerable and direct with this girl is probably going to get a date with her. And you know what that sumbitch did? He did it. He did it. And it pissed me off so much because that's what I was going to do the next day. All right. Anyways, this whole thing, and it worked, by the way. This whole thing, it was amazing, right? It induced a lucid dream of me on a little I was on a bicycle in the dream, trying to ride up these hills, and it was a hill that had leaves on it and stuff. So in the tricycle, I can see this girl, and I'm trying to pedal to her. And each time I get close, she takes off. And then I'm pedaling up this, these hills, and my tricycle, it's a tricycle, and it's slipping. I don't know why. It's like I'm a big gorilla on a tricycle, but I remember trying to pedal fast because I knew walking wouldn't catch her, And so she'd go somewhere else, and somehow in the dream, I'd end up in that place. One time, there was a part of it. I have it in my dream journal still, of my remembered dreams. But one of them was at a party. One of them was by the monastery up here where all these monks live in East End. But the third place, was at this old speedway this old racing place that we have down here on 270. We used to go there too and hang out. At that place, I realized, man, I'm in a dream. Because what happened was I didn't know how I was going from one place to another. And why the hell am I on a tricycle? I was 15 or 16 years old. I can ride a bike. What the hell am I doing on this thing? So it was actually one of my first lucid experiments, And so once I took over the dream, well, I started doing what I wanted. And this goes back to my previous point. All right. Make sure you get permission to do certain things or to think about people in dreams. Because after that, I don't think that girl ever talked to me again. I don't want to go there. But I did have a lucid dream. Now I feel like a complete hypocrite and an ass. But I was a kid. See, I wasn't aware I was a kid. I'm aware now. Back then, I was a kid. I was 16, 17 years old. I'm 40-something now. So here's a the wheel of samsara. Yeah. So here's a method Rogo talks about. Then we got to get out of here. So suggest to yourself that dreams are unreal. Okay. And to the dreamer, the dream world is very real, who hasn't awakened from a nightmare in a cold sweat or laughing at some absurdity. It is possible to change all this merely through suggestion. And Mary Arnold Forster, a British housewife who is an accomplished lucid dreamer, explains how she nurtured her ability in her book studies and dreaming. And throughout the day, she began reminding herself that dreams aren't real. Yeah, I've never heard of this before. This acted as an auto-suggestion on her unconscious mind that she started to remember while she was dreaming, and lucid dreaming was the natural result. Usually she awoke as soon as she realized she was dreaming, but in time, she was able to catch herself from getting too excited, allowing the dream to run its course. Another method is to hold your awareness up to the moment of sleep onset and suggest that you will observe your dreams with conscious awareness. The deliberate induction of the lucid dream from the waking state rather than from within a dream itself. This is probably the most difficult technique, first outlined by the Russian mystic P.D. Ouspensky in his classic study, A New Model of the Universe. The procedure was an outgrowth of his fascination with the hypnagogic state. Oh, we got to read some more. We got to read some of that. To observe the state in as much detail as possible, Ouspensky practiced holding on to awareness up to the point when he actually fell asleep. Gradually, he learned that he could maintain consciousness even after he had dozed off, which allowed him to observe his dreams with the full realization that they were dreams. And his method of inducing lucid dreams was, therefore, to observe the hypnagogic state, prolong it, and then consciously guide himself into sleep. During this process, he held a thought or idea rigidly in his mind, willing to appear in his subsequent dream. I guess tomorrow night we'll get into some Ouspensky stuff, you know. Let's see. Ouspensky, Bootsy Greenwood says, Ouspensky rips, does he? If anybody's read more books than I have, Bootsy has for sure. It's hard, man. Is it hard? I need to check it out. I think I've read some of it before, but haven't really delved into it, especially on the show. But yeah, I need to get you back on here, brother, and have a chit chat. Circa de Soleil will have you forget about this bitch Alicia. I forgot about that girl a long time ago, man. You know, it was high school. Anyways, thank you guys for those that you came out and listened tonight and that stood in here and listened for a little bit. I appreciate you. For those that stayed here the whole time, I really appreciate you guys. And for those of you that supported and donated while listening the whole time, you know, salute to you. Firm handshake, all that stuff. Love you much. This was fun tonight. I had a good time. We'll be back tomorrow night. And I think we're getting a little closer to Christmas here, so we're going to have to do a show about that too. Yeah? Maybe I want to do an AI show and talk about the singularity because it's near. It's getting closer for sure. Don't you think? Y'all go watch that movie Upgrade and see if we're not getting close to that with the drones and everything. That should trip you out. All right. Hugs, kisses, and firm handshakes to everybody. Night, night, sweet dreams. See you in the Discord.